The broadcast is.
All right, looks like we still have a few people coming into the room, but out of respect for everyone's time, we're going to get going. Thank you for joining me this afternoon or morning or evening, depending on where you're at in the world. We had a great session yesterday. This is the second of a four-part series this week. Yesterday we covered the trading platform and dug into the mechanics of that a little bit. Today we're going to be talking about specifically binary options in that contract type. Tomorrow we're going to be covering knockouts, and on Friday we're going to be covering call spreads. With that, we'll get started. What we're going to be going through today, real quick, I'm going to introduce you, in case you haven't heard of it, to the Nadex demo trading competition. I see a lot of names here in the room from yesterday as well, so that's great. Great to have you back, and welcome to the new attendees. Today's last day for registration for the trading competition, so I'm going to give you some details on that. And then we're going to hop into binary options. Most of this today is going to be spent in the platform again. I think it's just a great way to learn and actually see how they're executed. Also, really want you getting into your demo accounts, taking a look at how to trade, start to learn the mechanics and the buy and sell and how the platform works. But we're going to be looking at finding contracts, executing trades, how you manage positions, close out trades. This is recorded, so you will be able to review it later. I'll be taking questions throughout as I can work them in, and then I'll leave plenty of time at the end. We are scheduled for 30 minutes, but definitely happy to stay on as long as I can to answer and make sure everything's taken care of for you. Before we begin, real quick risk disclosure. Trading involves risk. Trading on Nadex involves risk. It's not appropriate for everyone. You can lose money in the real market. Trust me, I know. I've been trading for over 20 years. That is a real possibility, and it is actually just a reality. And it's not appropriate for everyone at all times in their life. Always make sure you're using risk capital. And I mean this absolutely sincerely. I've seen it happen way too many times. Somebody, thinks they've got a great opportunity trading, but they're using grocery money or things earmarked for rent. Don't do that. It should always be risk capital, just from a psychological perspective. You can't have money that's earmarked for your life and livelihood and day-to-day needs and necessities as your trading capital. It just doesn't work. Way too much pressure, way too much anxiety with that. Nadex is all about self-directed trading, putting the power in your hands. Along with that, we have to take accountability for all of our trades. All successful traders that I know over the years, they've all taken accountability. They're more than happy to not blame anybody else or the market. The market is always right, but we learn when we take accountability, and we learn from our losses, right? I'm going to be doing a bit of trading today on binary options. This is for education purposes only. So if you have a live account, please don't think that, hey, I'm doing anything special and you should hop on and get on this trade. I'm doing almost no analysis. I'm really showing the mechanics and talking about the contract type, giving you a footing. I'm also going to show you some additional resources at the end. So before we begin with the binary options, in case you weren't aware of it, we've sent out quite a bit of communication. We are doing a Nadex demo trading challenge. It's a 1-week contest. It's kicking off Sunday evening, the 15th, so this coming Sunday, and trading will go through the end of the week when the market closes on Friday. Giving away prizes for the top 3 participants based on P&L after fees. It's $5,000 for first prize, $2,500 for second, and $1,000 for third. So some good prizes for a free contest. It is open to all. So today is the last day for registration. So before I get into the platform and binaries, when we hop over there quick, I'm going to show you where you can go to register if you haven't yet, and I'll drop a link into the chat box as well. A few things you should know about it. It is open to everyone. So anyone's allowed to participate. To qualify for the grand prizes, though, you have to be a U.S. resident, excluding Rhode Island. Apologies if we have anyone on here from Rhode Island. Unfortunately, we have to follow state-by-state regulations, which pertain to contests such as these. So unfortunately, we're not able to give Rhode Island residents the grand prizes. But if you're a U.S. resident, 18 or older, you can qualify for the grand prizes. We do have a minimum of 25 trades requirement to win the grand prize over the course of the week. The reason for that is we really want it to be a competition. We want people that are diligently trading and managing risk and doing the things right to have a good shot. We all know people can get lucky occasionally. I've seen people get lucky 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 trades in a row. Not too many more than that, though. And so what we didn't want to have happen was somebody just to come in, double up, double up, double up, and then walk away and go, oh, hey, that was easy. First of all, trading is not easy. And so we don't ever want to give that impression. So there is a minimum of 25 trades over the course of the week. And if you want to review the full terms and conditions, we have that on the registration page, which I'll show you in just a minute. All right, so on to binary options. So if you're new to Nadex and new to binary options, these are probably one of the more misunderstood contracts. They're really straightforward, though. It's basically a question, and it's got three components. You've got your market, you've got a strike price, and you've got an expiration time. And we're going to be digging into this deep as we get into the platform. So if you feel like I'm talking a little bit fast, it's really because I think the most value is going to come not with words on the screen, but actually looking at a trading platform and seeing how these things trade. But basically, that question is something like, will oil be greater than $44 at X time? So the question is, we've got our underlying market oil, we've got our condition or strike price, $44, and then we have it bound by time. All of the binary option contracts at Nadex are $100 total value. They trade within a range of 0 to 100. That's called the floor and the ceiling. They can't trade beyond that. When we're looking at price, it's really thought of as a probability, almost as if you said, okay, it's going to rain today, right? Maybe you've got your barometer at home, maybe you've got your other tools, and you're in a market on weather, and the market's saying there's a 40% chance that it's going to rain. You may be able to buy that binary option. It's a yes or no, right? Will it rain today? So you have your market, the rain. If it does, right, that's true. And you have today, the expiration time. So will it rain? Yes or no? That's your condition. So range of 0 to 100. If it's 40, but maybe all the factors that you're looking at say it's a 50% probability it's going to rain. Well, then you found some market edge. Same thing with the markets, right? The analysis with binary options, and this is one thing I want to make clear. We're going to be looking at these. These are the same markets. If you already have experience trading, maybe you're trading futures, currencies, stocks, maybe you've been studying technical analysis for years and you've got a great thing down. That doesn't change. This is just going to be a little bit different way to express an opinion, really in the same markets, right? So we're just going to be looking at probabilities. We're still going to be looking at, do we think the market's going up? Do we think it's going down? You know, over what time frame are we looking at that? If you are an options trader, and if you're not, don't worry too much about this, but time and volatility are factored in the price. Now, here's one thing you're going to hear me repeat over and over and over today, because it's one of the biggest mistakes I've seen people at Nadex make in their live accounts, but also in demos. Obviously means a lot more in a live account, but binary options are known as all or nothing, right? At the end of the contract, either the buyer gets $100 or the seller gets $100. Simple. So they're all known as all or nothing, but you don't have to wait for all or nothing. You can close out, and we're going to walk through examples of this, how to close out before expiration to either lock in profit or limit losses. So with that, before we get into the platform, I want to show you the registration page, and I'll give you a link to the demo trading contest. All right, on your screen, you should be seeing a landing page. I'm going to drop this link into the chat. This is free to register. I went over the terms just a minute ago. So let me drop this into the chat real quick. All righty, so there's the link. Very simple. You can put in your first name, whatever email you want. But it should be associated with your demo account, otherwise we won't know it exists. So use your real email because you'll have to confirm, and you want to be able to obviously take part in those prizes. If we don't know how to contact you, it's going to be difficult to collect, and that'd be unfortunate. So once you register, right, if you already have a Nadex demo account, you are good to go. Whatever you do, enter the email on the registration page that's associated with that demo account. If you don't have a demo account, all you do is simply click open a demo account here. It takes you about 20-30 seconds tops, and that'll be linked to your contest page. So that's that's the demo trading contest. Again, it's kicking off next week. Registration ends today. I encourage you to take part. It should be a lot of fun. We're going to be sending out a daily leaderboard. For the participants, we're going to have some exclusive education content with some great traders I know next week. So definitely, even for that, it's worth the registration. So with that, let's hop into the platform. All right, 10 minutes in and we're already getting to the platform. So, or I should say, finally getting to the platform. All right, so binary options, what we're going to focus on today. If you're not familiar with the platform, I'm going to show you at the end of this where you can get a tutorial and the video that we ran through yesterday. Binary options are offered at Nadex on 4 different asset classes. So we've got indices. So we've got the international indices, China, FTSE, Germany, which is based on the DAX, Japan 225, which is based on the Nikkei. Then the international indices. These are the US indices. These are the biggest US indices, which you might not be familiar with the name, the US Tech 100. That is based on the NASDAQ mini future. US 500, that's based on the E-mini S&P future. Small cap 2000, Russell 2000 future. Wall Street 30, the E-mini Dow. So these are broadly traded, very liquid underlying markets. So Nadex is a derivatives exchange. So again, if you're already trading that, or trading those markets, this should look very familiar. Those markets are going to move the same as well. So Forex, the top Forex pairs. Again, same market, just a bit different way to express an opinion. Commodities. So if you want to trade crude, gold, natural gas, silver, got some commodities lined up for you. Then there are also events. Events are a little bit different. So this is actually picking a number and predicting what jobless claims this week will be. And so a little bit different because there's not actually an underlying market. It is just a single print. We do have some people that really enjoy those. A lot of people, though, would, around these news announcements that can really move the market, will typically trade binary options in those markets for the impact it has on those. And so I have a couple questions here. Demo accounts will be reset. That's a great point. That's a question. Will demo accounts? So after the close on Friday, before the contest starts, to put everybody at a fair level playing field, all demo accounts will be reset to $10,000. That said, go in. If you've got it now, don't hesitate to get in, or maybe wait till after this presentation. Don't hesitate to get in and start, using the platform and looking at the contracts and placing some trades. Get in there and use it. If you lose money, you lose money. If you make money, you make money. All of the demo contest accounts will be set to $10,000. As far as accessing the recordings of this week's presentation, yesterday I had a little bit of a technical glitch, but that should be up. We'll see at the end of this. I'll show you where you can find that. I believe it was put out earlier this morning. If not, it should be very soon. And then this one should be going up this afternoon as well. So these will be accessible right on the website. And at the end of this, I'm going to show you that along with the resources. So great questions. All right, back to binary options. So we're going to talk through. You'll be fine, Lisa. As far as registration, if you did accidentally register twice, 3 times with the same email address, it is one participant. But yeah, that's happened a few times, so you're all good there. So we're going to walk through some binary options, and we're going to place some demo trades here. So I selected binary options. I'm going to look at the US Tech 100. So we have, in addition to different asset classes, we have different time frames. Binary options go as short as 5 minutes, which we'll look at in a little bit on currencies, 20 minutes on indices, out to intraday 2-hour, daily and weekly contracts. And we've got people that trade all of them. It's really a matter of personal preference. Some people really like the action and something moving really fast and really lean towards the 5 minute and 20 minute. Other people are more like swing traders and they have a little bit longer term strategy and they're looking to capitalize on that. And so they might look to trading the weekly type options. So I'm just going to go in here to the US Tech 100. And so as you can see, all you do is choose daily, weekly contracts. And you can trade these both. Some people trade these together. So this one's expiring in 44 minutes. Now, one thing you'll notice, we're getting towards the end of the day, right? So as you get towards the end of the day, you'll start seeing fewer of these price. This price is based on a probability. So on the left, we have our strike prices, and then we have the price. I'm just going to click on this one right here. I'm going to scroll my chart over. And on the right, you'll also see the strike prices. Now you can change the time frame on your chart, which we covered yesterday. If you want to expose those strike prices, right, it all depends on how your chart is set up. Go to a shorter time frame, say 5 minutes, you'll be able to expand it, show a few more strikes. So on the right are the various strike prices as well, right? And so basically what you're asking, and so if I have this 11,887, this strike right here, the question is, will the US TAC 100 finish higher than 11,887? And there's about 43 minutes to go, right? So right now we're at 11,878, and let's say that right up at the top. So we're just about 9 points off of that. So the probability of that becoming true and the buyer getting the $100, right now the market's saying that's somewhere around 21%. The reason I say that, and let me tear this ticket off, and it'll take a second here because I'm going through the GoToWebinar. I'm going to put this in the center of the screen for a moment as we walk through the order ticket. A couple things I want to hit. So right now, this market is saying somewhere, and it's moving a little bit here. There's about a 24% chance that this is going to happen. I can buy it right now at 24.75, 16.25. If you want to see what the market depth is, this tells you where some of the action is. Good for the limit orders. I can do a market order, which is more of an instant execution we covered yesterday. But if I place this order to buy, my maximum potential loss, and I'm just going to click on 19, I'm going to go to a limit order to show this. My maximum loss is $20.25. So if I place this order at a price of $20.25, each point is worth $1. This is my maximum loss. It can never go below zero if I'm a buyer. My maximum potential profit, in this case, is almost $80, not inclusive of exchange fees. This totals the full $100 value. So if I place a buy order at 2025 and it gets matched, that 2025 is the amount of collateral or capital I need to put up to secure that trade. So you can think about it like margin, but it's the full amount of risk. And that's why you can never go deficit at Nadex. You can never get a margin call, right? So if I place this buy at 2025, I'm putting up 2025. Whoever's on the other side of that is putting up 79.75. Why are they putting up more compared to mine when we can both get $100 at the end? Probability. They've got probability in their favor, whereas I'm taking more of what we'd call a long shot, right? Right. So if I buy this at 2025, and I'm just going to go ahead and move, the market's moved a little bit. I'm just going to go ahead and place this order, right? So let's walk through this. So I've got my open position. If you look towards the bottom of the screen, I've got my open position, US Tech 100 greater than 1187. I have one long position, I see +1, at my price of $20.50. So that means I've basically in collateral put $20.50 up to secure this trade. Now, there are a couple of mistakes I see people make. So this late in the day, the markets have barely been moving. Might not be the opportune time to take something that would be considered almost like a 4-to-1 type of, really a long shot in this case, right? The market's moving away from it. I didn't do any analysis on it, so that would obviously be another mistake if I was trading this live. So we're in this position though. Now, one thing, right? We put up $20.50 plus our $1 exchange fee. This will be important, I think, for the contest, but particularly in live accounts, right? If you're in a trade that you think is isn't going to work out, you don't have to sit there and take the full loss. This is a mistake I see a lot of people make, right? So let's say that we saw this, we thought the market was going to stay or go above that level. It broke below our support. This is all hypothetical, of course. We want to close that out, right? We want to save some of that. So I'm going to click on my open position. It's going to automatically open a ticket in the opposite direction for my sell. So I'm going to place that order, and now I'm out of that position. So instead of losing $20, of course, this would be like my real trading. All of a sudden, the market rallies. Turns out I was right all along. But we always have to manage our risk, right? And I'm going to walk through this several times. I'm not sure exactly what you mean on executing on the strike price or a little above. So it depends on what you're doing, right? So in this same example, I'm going to go back here to this one. So if I think that it's going to stay below this level, right? The market's below that. If I think it's going to stay below that, I'm going to be a seller, right? So, but if I think it's going to be a buyer, I think the market's really going to rock and roll, right? It's going to move higher, and I'm going to get this, which is going to have a pretty decent, payout at expiration if I'm right. Then I'm going to trade the strike. But you're always trading on the strike. Rule of thumb is if the binary is right at the strike price, it's got to trade somewhere around 50. As you can see right now, the underlying market is below this strike with 38 minutes to go, right? Although it's not that far below, it's only 4 points below, right? So if I thought it was going to go higher, right, I could buy it. So I'm not sure if that actually answered the question that we had. It was regarding if you're executing on the strike price or a little bit above. What you're basically doing is you're trying to assess your probabilities. Now, one of the things I really like about binary options as an indicator, and I'm going to go ahead and get rid of it on my screen, is the average true range indicator. And you can run this on multiple time frames. So if you want to put on an indicator, boom. By the way, yeah, if you click on this and then you don't know what an indicator is, just click on that little information. It'll tell you there. So now I have an average true range. So this is based on my 5-minute chart and a period of 14. So right now, since about going back to even a high point, let's say this morning, when we were moving a little bit faster, we were at about 20 points every 14 periods of a 5-minute candle, right? So every 70 minutes. So I've only got 36 minutes to go in this contract. Knowing that, I probably don't want to take one that's going to require a substantial move, right? Particularly this low, although sometimes towards the close we get good moves. Right now I could buy this 46, place order. Go in to our market. All right, so I have an open position here now. I actually have 2 open positions. They're just about right at the money. So I have an average price of 45.75. Again, if I want to close this out, if the market starts really ripping against me, it doesn't even have to rip against me. Maybe I just go, geez, that wasn't the right trade. I'm wrong on this one. I'm going to go here. I'm going to click US Tech 100. Always do it from your open positions window. That will automatically open up a ticket in the opposite direction of your trade. It will also automatically open it up for your position size. So let's say you had 2 on and didn't remember that you had 2 on. You just want to close the position and get out. This is the fastest way. Click on the open position window. It'll automatically open in the opposite direction at the same size as your position. Click place order and you're done. We're going to hop over to the 5 minutes real quick because there are some dynamics of binaries that I really want to show you. Before I do that, though, there's a couple other rules of thumb, right? We already mentioned if a binary is trading at or around the strike price, it'll trade somewhere towards a mid price of 50. But binaries get very volatile towards expiration. And we're going to show that on the 5 minutes. Another rule of thumb, never buy a binary above 98. Never sell it below 2, right? The reason for that Nadex has a $1 exchange fee, and then if the trade is successful and it goes to expiration, you also have a $1 settlement fee. If you trade a binary and at the outcome you don't get anything, then you have no settlement fee. So if I'm buying at 98 or selling below 2, that $2 that I could make on either side is going to be fully taken up by exchange fees, right? So something to keep in mind. So let's just take a look at the Euro USD. And okay, so we just got into the start of this contract. So let's just take a look, and I'm going to bring up this tear-off ticket right here. So this is at the money. Now this will actually show the process of time on a binary option, right? This would be considered, when this contract first started, an at the money binary option. Now a binary can only settle at 0 or 100, right? In 3 minutes and 51 seconds, this has to go to 0 or it has to go to 100, right? So right now, if the market didn't move at all from this point, right now it's literally moved 1 pip, right? If the market doesn't move at all, that's going to go to 0, right? If it's what's called out of the money, meaning it's below 50, it'll go to 0. If it's in the money, it'll go to 100, right? If it stays right at the money, it'll still go to 0 or 100, and you'll see some really crazy fluctuations. I mean, think about this. We clicked this open about a minute ago when it was right around 45, right? It's moved 50% of where the midpoint of the contract was, right? This one is now what's considered our closer to at the money. So I'm going to pull up this tear-off ticket. So what do you think? Higher or lower for this strike? I'm going to take a quick vote. We got to be quick though, because we've got 2 minutes, 43 seconds. Somebody just type in. All right. First one up there was a seller. All right. So we sold. So let's see what happens on this one, right? We sold. Got a couple of people. One thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go to my open position window. This is another handy trick, right? So we took this contract, we sold it. So I click on my open position, right? If I want to sit here, if the market starts going against me, right? We were in about the midpoint, but if I had a lot more risk, right? And all of a sudden it starts ripping against me. Like right now, I'm down quite a bit. Thankfully, it's just a demo, but this is how fast it can move. I don't have to wait for the full. We're going to wait this one out though, just to see. But I could just quickly place my market order and get out and take a $26 loss instead of what would have been, a $51 loss. Right? Does that make sense? If I want to get out of there, but let's just see what happens. Yeah, we're coming up, and by the way, this may run a little bit long. I want to make sure I have time for everyone's questions. I probably should have scheduled these for a little bit longer in the first place. But the market doesn't have to move too far. It basically has to go to this line and settle just below. Another thing about a binary option, right? The condition is greater than, right? It's a true or false statement. Will it finish higher than 1.1771? If it settles right on the strike price, that is not higher than. So that then goes to the sellers. So one other thing that you'll see as we approach here, you'll see, if you pay attention on the left, you'll see with about 30 seconds left, you'll see the board go dark. The contract is still in play, but that's when market makers are allowed to pull liquidity, right? And they do that because of the extreme nature of the volatility. You can't actually put a pricing model that works very well with 15 seconds to go. But we're going to watch this because if we get another drop, right now we're only 4/10 off. And as you see on the left, okay, 7 seconds, we're right there. And then we'll go in and we'll look. 1 second, where did we finish? Okay, we're gonna have to go in, and I'm gonna show you where to go in. And if you look here on the left-hand side, the next set is already priced, right? So if we wanted to get in on this one again, this time we'll be a buyer, right? The market. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into my account, and I'm going to look at my history here. And I'm just going to click View History. So here we had our Euro USD. Let's find out where it settled. Oh, that's my transaction history. That doesn't have my fees. 1 second. Confused the two here. I'm going to go to my statement. Oh, one other thing you can also do right from the platform, which will go, you can view your history. My statement's going to take a bit to populate here. So here is my Euro USD 117.71. Oh, we got the payout settlement. It finished just below. So the expiration, we had our fee payment. So we got the full payout on that one. So good call. If you want to see your 24-hour history, a simplified version right here, you can see that right there as well. Again, your statements though will show your profit and loss. So this one we bought. Now let's say I want to take profit on this. I'm going to do something very similar to what I did, right? Because if I'm a buyer and I want to sell to take profit, I'm going to click on my open position window. I'm going to go up here and I'm just going to change this price. Let's say if it hits $80, that's where I want to take profit. I'm going to place my order, and now I have a working order. And what this means is if the market goes up, if we see this sell price get to 80, I should get my order filled, and that'll automatically close my position. Again, it's really important, I think, to understand that you don't have to wait until expiration. If the market's going against you, like we did in the previous example on the Tech 100, if the market's going against us, there's nothing wrong with closing out the position. I mentioned it yesterday. A mentor of mine back in 2005, something he said really stuck with me. He'd been trading 30 plus years, hedge funds, had his own pretty giant personal account. And he said the only difference between him and a new trader was that he got out of his losing trades faster. And that really stuck with me because what I've seen from, and I've been fortunate enough to know some very successful traders over the years. All of them went in with a plan. All of them had a plan, not just broadly, but for every given trade. And if it went against them, they didn't smother the market, but if it went against them and they determined they were wrong, didn't matter if it hit their stop or in this case, if it went to 0 or 100, they closed out the trade. They took smaller losses. And if you think about it, trading isn't about 1 or 2 trades. It's about thousands of trades. I hope all of you aren't getting involved because you want to trade successfully for a week, but you want to trade successfully for a lifetime, right? And that's what this is about. So right now we've got about 1 minute and 14 seconds left in this particular trade. Right now we're currently still, but as we saw last time, I mean, we just eked into the payout there. Let's see what happens this time. By the way, if you'll notice on the chart itself, you'll see what your position is and the floating profit and loss for that position. You'll also see this gray thing. That indicates that you have a working order on that position. All right, so we're actually looking good. So you'll notice that my order ticket went away. So we got filled on our limit order. I don't know if you caught that on the screen. All right, Lisa, you got a profitable one too. Nice. So if you notice, I have no positions and no orders. Did you notice when that flashed? If I wanted to verify that, I'd go to my history, right? I was long one right here, and then I was short one, right? So I canceled that out. So we had another, pretty profitable trade. And if you think about this in the real trading perspective, And this is so important with binaries because, again, and I'm going to stress it, I've seen so many people that just wait until expiration to see if they're right or wrong, particularly people that maybe bought at 30 and then the market's sitting up there at a 96 bid no offer. So they've got a profit of 66 and they're risking that 66 for an additional $4 per contract, right? You can be aware of where the market's at. If you place multiple contracts, and one thing also I'd like to show you, and I'm going to go to a little bit slower here. I'll go to the Euro USD. Here's one that's closing at. This one's closing in a. Let's. You know what? Actually, let's do one for tomorrow. Because I want to show you a quick strategy, and then I'm going to want to show you some resources because I've already thrown a lot at you today on these. I really wanted to. That's a great question. There is not the question is there a limit to how many times you can close, trade, and take profit? There is no limit. There is no pattern day trader rule at Nadex, no matter your account size, right? Account size are initial funding of $250 minimum. And what a lot of people will do is actually they'll trade in their demo for a while, but when they have their demo, they'll open up their live account, fund it, but not trade it for a while. And then they'll trade in their demo. And then if they see all of a sudden an opportunity that they think they want to take, they'll go in and start executing some trades. And so no, there is no limit. You can be as active as you want. I mean, we literally have people in the live environment. I mean, hundreds, if not thousands of trades in some days. Thousands is a bit rare. We see thousands of contracts, but literally hundreds of trades. Some people, and I've seen it, and I can almost tell when they're on their lunch hour because they will just sit there trading in 5 minutes. And you know, I've been around with Nadex for almost 13 years now, and I've gotten to know a lot of our members very well, and it's always amazes me that there's such a diversity of trading, and we'll talk more about it in the other contracts later this week, as well as depending on market volatility. One of the things that's really great is binary options are great in slow times as well. So like, you know how you're looking for opportunity? I don't know if anybody trades futures or Forex, but I know a lot of days I've sat there in those markets and I'm just like, gosh, nothing's moving. It's like maybe there's a big announcement the next day and the markets just don't want to make a commitment to move at all. It's just some small ticks back and forth. Binary options work great in that because then you can simply take a look and go, okay, you know what? And I'll just give an example of that. This is a really slow market. I think it's going to stay over this level. I'm just doing this on a short time frame. Right? If I think the market's going to stay over there, maybe I've got a level of support above this strike. Right? I'm just going to buy that. And then even if the market doesn't move, I know that it has to go to 100 or 0. And so I'm just going to sit there and basically try to collect, you know, premium, basically in options parlance. I've got a couple of questions here. A question about the charts over the weekend. You know what, Adam, let me check in because I thought that was going to be resolved. It was a case previously where you couldn't get into the charts, but let me double check that. If not, I'm going to make a note of that. Real quick, by the way, also on that note, if you have feedback, and so actually, Adam, I'm going to ask you to put this in if you have your demo account or in your live account. On the left-hand side is the feedback. So hey, if it's like I want to see charts over the weekend. Now we review this on a weekly basis. I actually had a call earlier today. All of the things that we put on the platform get prioritized by feedback from people who are using our platform. So if I put this in, they'll be like, "Why are you putting in comments, Dan?" But put in that comment. It's taken seriously. Also, if you're in the platform, and I'm not going to click the live chat right now because I don't want to pester them when they're dealing with real members. But there's also live chat functionality both on the website as well as on the platform. So if you do have questions, if you're like, "Hey, I wonder what this settlement was," could you let me know? More than happy to help out. Here's a great question. As far as types of mistakes I've seen from traders, particular chart time frame that they make those mistakes happen more. There's really not, and I'll tell you, Lisa, I've been lucky, and I consider myself very lucky. I actually placed my first trade in 1997. I will say that I didn't start trading though until the tech bubble burst in 2000, and I totally got wiped out. And that's really when I started diving in. But I've had the opportunity to not just learn from my own mistakes, or even from some really great mentors, which I've been lucky enough to have over the years. But I've really spent most of the last 20 years as a trading coach, in operations as a trader, working with education. And I've had the opportunity to analyze, literally look at hundreds of thousands of traders, right? Because I can see trade flow. And it makes for an interesting analysis. The biggest mistakes I see are what you hear in every other market. People not managing risk, they're over trading, regardless of type or time frame. We actually got a great question as far as recording trades so you can analyze and watch it later. There's not a playback function on the platform. But what I recommend everybody do, and this is something you may want to write down. I've said it in a lot of webinars, and I'm glad Tony here reminded me of it. One thing you could do is get screen capture. So there's different screen capture things out there. I know a lot of people do that. I think that's very useful. Something I think that personally helped me out a ton when I was looking to get better. So if you want to learn how to be a better trader, literally it takes 10 seconds and about $10. I recommend everybody take screenshots of whenever you place a trade. I simply cannot stress this enough. If you're on your Mac, all you do is hit Control-Alt-Print Screen. You do this when you get into a trade. So you know what? Let me clean this up here a little bit. By the way, if you want to make up some room on your charts, if you click those arrows, you can hide different things so you can get better charts. So I'm just going to run through a hypothetical example here real quick. And hopefully you can tell I'm passionate about this particular aspect. I'm just going to add a couple of indicators here. Whatever my strategy is, maybe I'll add a horizontal line to the chart, right? I'm just going to buy this binary real quick. All right. Let me get this. Forget if I had a market order in here. Yep. This one, hold on, let me hop back to my markets. It helps if I don't do it on an expired contract. So let's just go in here real quick. All right. So we've got this. Let's say that I was just doing this. So maybe I use fibs with Bollinger Bands, and I'm going to execute this trade. I'm going to buy it at market at 1875, right? Clean up my workspace here a little bit so I have a little bit more room. Right, maybe slide my chart to the left. Of course, you'll see the fibs readjust there. So I placed this trade, right? Maybe I place one here. Place order, market, place order. All right, so I've got my trade in. So I've got all my analysis done. What I'm going to do once I place it, right? I'm going to hit Control-Alt-Print Screen on my computer, because this is going to show me what the market looked like at that time. It's too hard when you're doing it in retrospect if you don't know what it looked like exactly at that time. Trust me on this. So Control-Alt-Print Screen, I'm not sure what it is on a Mac if you're using a Mac, but on a PC, Control-Alt-Print Screen. Takes a second. Have a document like a Word or a PowerPoint or whatever you use. I like PowerPoint because of how it scales. All I'm going to do at that point is I'm going to bring up my PowerPoint quick. I'm going to hit Control-V and I'm going to paste that picture right in there. If I close out the trade, no matter the result, I'm going to take another screenshot at the end of the trade. Sometimes I'll take them during the trade, right? put it in a Word document. Run out to a home office store, get yourself a 3-ring binder, a 3-hole punch, and a ream of paper, assuming you have a printer. If not, it might cost you more than $10 because you need to buy a printer. This is the most valuable education I've ever had in trading, because oftentimes we're looking at patterns in the markets, when often we need to be looking at the patterns in ourselves. And that's a very key point, right? Because we all have different psychological patterns when we're trading different things. Then you have to print it out. You have to print this document out. And you can add notes. You can add notes to these things. This was the market, but you have all the information in the screenshot, right? A picture speaks 1,000 words. So you print these out, and you can file them however you like, by market, by losses, by strategy. So for instance, I had one on a strategy. It was 2006. I'd been trading just basically simple ABCD patterns with support and resistance and Fibonacci. And I took all my losing trades over a 6-month period, and I looked at them and I really analyzed them, and I sat there and I put them all out on a table. And just like you would if you're putting together a puzzle, right? What's the first thing you do when you get a puzzle, right? You don't just like dump it out there and then, maybe some people do, start putting it together. Now you flip over all the pieces so you can see them. And what happens is you start putting a couple pieces together, and then that pattern forms. You can't do that if it's never printed out. The thing I learned, this was in 2006, which was valuable to me, on this specific pattern, regardless of time frame. I was trading a couple different time frames, which I don't really do anymore. I do multi-time frame analysis, which means I basically will look at daily charts, hourly charts, 15-minute, and I often execute on a 5-minute chart. But I want to see that longer-term pattern. By looking at this, I found in so many cases, and a mentor or a good guy that I know, he wasn't actually a mentor of mine, we'd known each other about 10 years though, often said, you know, if I've made a mistake in trading, it's because I haven't looked far enough left. And the reason for that is, I got caught by surprise. And when I went back, when I actually looked at those trades and was able to lay them out on a table, is that in 31% of the time that I had been stopped out, this was when I was trading FX pretty heavily, when I had been stopped out by a tick or two, that I was sitting on either a little bit longer term fib level or a little bit longer term support and resistance level. That had I just moved my stop, I'm sure we've all been there, anybody that's got any experience trading, and says, well, have you ever been stopped out and the market then just turns against you and rallies? Yeah, that happens to everybody. It does. It's painful, but if we can learn from these, and it's so important to document these trades so that you can learn from them. A huge proponent, and Tony, I'm so glad you asked that question. I haven't done anything other than for presentations. Sometimes I'll do screen recordings, but I know there's all sorts of software out there. There's probably even some free software that just allows you to record video on your screen so you can do a playback. I'm sure that's definitely better by far than not doing anything. I've seen so many people over the years that just jump around and don't learn, and then they're just gone, right? They can't trade anymore because they didn't take the time to learn. Losses are a part of the game. It is absolutely a part of the game. It happens. You might as well learn from them. I hope that bit was useful. I got a bit off binary options, and I know we're running short on time, but from a trading perspective, just an overall trading perspective, those two questions, as far as mistakes people made, and as far as how to analyze trades after the fact, really are two of the most important overall trading questions, regardless of binary options. Now, one thing I will say, and one thing that I love about binary options is, and particularly our call spreads, which I'm going to be covering on Friday, which I am a bit biased. I think binary options are great. I think there's a lot of great uses in certain things for them. But from a pure trading perspective, day in and day out, I think our call spreads are really just a great contract. They're probably one of the more, I don't want to say difficult, but they take a little bit more to really get the feel of. And we'll cover those on Friday, so I'm not going to go too much into it now. But while we've got a few minutes left here, I'm going to hop out of the platform. I'm happy to come back and answer any questions. But real quick, if you go to nadex.com, and actually I'll walk you all the way through this, right? Go to our learning center. There's glossary, there's learning, there's our blog, which has all sorts of topics. Go to the webinars page. All of these are free. There is, for the people participating in the trading competition, there's some exclusive content next week that's not going to be on our website. So right here, if you see upcoming, these are our upcoming webinars. So you can see, actually, I'm doing these the next week. If you signed up for this one, which if you're here and listening to me, you clearly did. I'm going to be covering those. All of these are going to be recorded. So the links are going to be on the website. If you want to, go to the archive section. And it looks like this is where you'll find the link, which should be up there in a little bit. I'll follow up right after this, find out why there's not a Watch Now button here. But in a few hours, you ought to see also this webinar come into the archive with a Watch Now button next to it. These are all on demand. You can sort by various presenters. We've got a lot of great content from those. And you can sort by contract type, strategies. One I'll point out, since we're talking about binary options. There's a strategy, and I didn't want to get too much into strategy today because we're going to be covering a lot of that next week. In the archived webinar, if you go to page 3, right, and I encourage you to just roll through these and look for topics. There's a lot of great content. There's also a trading analysis. You scroll down here. If you go to Education Summit, we did an Education Summit in May. We also did one in September. A lot of great content. We've got this strategy on knockouts, utilizing lower risk, higher reward. I'll talk a little bit about that tomorrow. So if you're late trading our knockout contracts, binary option strangles are a strategy that I've been teaching for, since before I was at Nadex. Actually, I did actually some education for Nadex, and it's a strategy that if you're looking for, particularly around news announcements, people really seem to enjoy. It's easy to execute. It's all based on low risk with a high potential return. So if you want to watch that, it's about an hour long. That's on page 3 of the archives from back in May of this year. So if you're looking for strategies for next week, and you've got still several days to try them out, now I'd flip through here. It's free to do. You should take advantage of it. There's just a lot of great content. So with that, I'm happy to take a couple more questions. We've got a few minutes left. Again, this has been an awesome group. I'm so happy to see so many people attend, as well as the engagement and the interaction. It is so important. If you have a question, always ask it. And one of the reasons why I love doing these in a group setting, and I used to do a lot of one-on-one coaching, and that was fun, working with people individually. But I can say with about 100% certainty that it's far less valuable than doing any type of education in a group setting where there's multiple people. And the reason is I've forgotten so much stuff about the markets, about contracts, or I just take it for granted and think it's understood, so don't mention it. But when you have a group setting like this, and you have people that are active and asking questions, they're asking questions that a lot of other people might not have even thought of. So by asking them, right, then the whole group gets the benefit of that, because we don't know what we don't know. And we won't know until somebody else either gives it to us, or or somebody asks the question and gets the answer. The question is, what products do you think are easier for Forex margin traders to adapt to? I think the contracts that most closely resemble trading Forex or trading futures are knockout contracts. They basically replicate the futures and Forex market, and I'm going to be covering those in depth tomorrow. But they're very straightforward. They're very easy to understand. Binary options, obviously, as we looked at today, you're looking at probability as a price, and there's some factors to consider. When you're trading a knockout, you're trading it just like you would Forex or futures, except because of a floor and ceiling structure, you really have, I call it discipline for when you don't. because to an earlier question, some of the big mistakes I've seen people not take losses. With Nadex, it's great because you have an automatic bounds on that. In margin Forex world, particularly when people were trading at 100 to 1, I saw them never want to take a stop, and you just watch them pull their stops farther and farther away. So there's that side of it, but then also people have trouble taking profit. Right? They get greedy and they think the market's going to run forever, and then it slams against them and they never took anything and they give it all back to the market and then some. Wow, a lot of great questions coming in. But yeah, I think our knockouts are the most closely resemble if you've been trading other markets. Yeah, so if you the question is on counting trades, right? So if you place one trade and it goes to settlement, meaning it expires, that'll be one trade. If you enter a trade and then exit that trade, that's actually two trades. That'll be counted as two trades. Great question on that one. And I'll make sure that I clarify that moving forward because that is an awesome question. Yep, I'll walk through another trade in just a moment. Question is about the Fibonacci indicator. And I've heard a lot of back and forth. I think it works. I spent quite a few years studying it. I should probably do like a full education session on Fibonacci and how I use it. I think Fibonacci by itself is not great. If I can just be totally blunt. I don't know that there's, I'm definitely much more of a price action trader, but I like finding support and resistance. I really like looking at Fibonacci on a little bit longer term than what I'm trading on. So for instance, if I'm executing on a 5-minute chart, I like running Fibonacci on a 1-hour chart, but I'm also looking at patterns. So there's a pattern called something like an ABCD pattern, which is just basically simple up and down, a 3-drive pattern. What I'm looking for, and I don't use a lot of indicators, I'll tell you exactly what I use. By the way, as disclosure, I am not allowed to trade Nadex. Nobody that works at Nadex is allowed to trade Nadex. The reason being, and you know what, we'll walk through a trade because I know we have that request, and I'll walk through something on a Fibonacci as well. I use the RSI, but not for overbought, oversold levels. I'll bring that up and I'll show you Trendline Divergence is what I use it for. And so I won't have time to really go into Trendline Divergence at this point, just because of the time. I'm going to draw, I'll use trend lines, both vertical and horizontal, as well as overall trend. I'm just going to, oops, get rid of that. So I'm just going to draw, and I'm just doing this real quick without too much analysis as a thing, right? By the way, always start your trend lines from left to right. This to me is not a great strong trend line, even though we clearly have an uptrend. We might even have a range. So if I wanted to duplicate this, by the way, I can just simply duplicate it, and it looks like we've got pretty much an upward like this. So I might be looking for a range, right? So right now we have an uptrend, right, in the market. Right, it's been going up. So I might say, okay, from top to bottom, right, I'm going to look at my Fibonacci retracement. I'm going to mark some key levels. So here's kind of the bottom of this move over this time period. And I'll slide my chart a little bit farther to the right here. And let me make these a bit darker. All right, so I've got kind of my key levels. So right now what I'm going to be looking for, and this is, by the way, if you're following along, it's not, I would not do it this fast. This is just an example on what I would look at. I'd actually be looking for, let's say the market continued down and we kind of had a zigzag pattern coming down. What I'd be looking for is if we hit a low point here, right, comes up, hits another low point, comes up, hits another low point. I'd actually be looking for my RSI to actually be making more of an uptrend. It's called Trendline Divergence. So we've got a downtrend in the market, uptrend on the indicator. but I actually look for different patterns with that. It's pretty simple, but I also like it when it falls in line with a Fibonacci ratio. Let's see if I can find an example here. So yeah, if you look at these three tops, we had basically a triple top. I'm gonna clear off my screen here real quick. So I'll show you what I mean by trendline divergence, right? We've all heard of triple tops on a short-term pattern right here. So we had three tops, all at the same height. 1, 2, 3. What was happening to our RSI, right? Down, down, down. So even though we had three even tops, right? We topped out again, but RSI had fallen off, trendline divergence. So that's what I look for in things like that. Let's see if we find another example here. Oh yeah, here we have three tops going higher. We had a double top here, but we had a top here, top here, top here. Lower, lower, lower. So just a few examples in there. And you can do it on any time frame. But I actually like trendline divergence. It's one. I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what your analysis is. All that matters is your risk management. If we look at this one here on the 15 minutes, so we had a low point, low point, low point, but our RSI was actually trending up at that point. Right? Same here, up, up, up. That's about even, down, down. So if you get in the mood, you can always look up trendline divergence. Just go to your search engine. You'll be able to see from your transaction history the number of trades that you had. Let's see, question on fees. Yes, so if you open a trade and close a trade, that is 2 fees, so $1 per contract each one. Actually, question is, who says that people who work at Nadex can't trade Nadex? Actually, it's an exchange policy and rule. As an exchange from our CFTC regulation, we have to remain unbiased. Our job is to match buyers and sellers. And so we can't take a position in any market. That's why any of the prices you ever see on your screen, Nadex can't make any of those as a firm or as individuals. Even our immediate family members cannot. So I still trade futures, Forex, ETFs, stocks, stock options, futures options, but I'm not allowed to trade Nadex. So I think we had a request to walk through one more trade, and before we go too much time over here, let me walk through that. So I'm gonna do a multi-lot trade. Let's say that we thought the market was gonna go up from here. All right, so I'm gonna go in here, I'm gonna place a 5-lot trade because we're gonna walk through a couple of components here. I'm gonna buy at $63, right? All right, so I have an open position. Oops. Did I place this order? All right, there we go. So, so I've got a 5-lot. I just placed a 5-lot order. So here it's executed. All I did was click buy, use a market order, click place order. Again, it shows me what when we have the order ticket, it'll show your maximum potential loss as well as your maximum profit on that trade. Again, you don't have to take the max loss. Again, close out. You can close out to take smaller loss or lock in profit, which we'll take a look at in a second. The max loss that you have on the trade when you execute that trade is what you have to put up for capital. All right, so we have our open position. So now let's say that we wanted to buy, or we want to take, we bought the contract, we're +6. We want to take 3 contracts off if we hit, let's say a level of 70, just an arbitrary level here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit a limit order. So now I've just set up a limit order, right? So if my contract that I bought around 61 gets to a price of 70, a sell price, 3 contracts will be filled. Then I can see if the other 3 go to 100, right? I don't have to wait for that. Maybe I'm sitting right about break even on a trade, and I go, oh, darn, this just isn't working out the way I thought it was. And actually here we already got a pretty quick move. I mean, we bought it, we're already down 20 points in this particular contract. So that moved pretty fast against us. So this is going to be really important. So let's say I just want to close out my position. Well, one thing I can do, remember if I click on my open positions window, I've got a position of 6. It's going to open up my ticket with a limit order and a quantity of 6. I can always adjust that, but if I just want to get rid of that, I'm going to click place order. All right. Now before, a couple things to check before you end your trading session and before you, leave for the day and walk away. If you have no open positions, always do a quick scan. If you see that you have a number that's 1 or more on your Windows order, right? If you don't want that there, right? You don't just want to leave a naked order, or what they'd call a naked order that can just be hit and you intend it. If you click on that, you simply delete that order. So before you walk away every day, close out your position, whatever, or close out your trading session, make sure that you have no positions if you don't want any, that whatever is there is something you want, and that you have orders if you want your orders, but no orders if you don't. Wow, and I think I got to all the questions, but if not, I'm going to be reviewing these after. I'll try to get an email along with the link to the group for this one. So I hope everybody found this useful. I threw a lot of information at you. Yeah, hopefully you can tell I love talking about trading. And it's really a passion of mine, and I'm lucky enough I get to do what I love every day. So really appreciate the questions. Another great group today. I hope everybody can join me tomorrow for the knockouts. If not, that'll be recorded as well. And on Friday is one of my favorites, which is the call spreads. Now I'm a bit biased. Actually, I designed both the call spreads as well as the knockout contracts. So I'm probably a bit biased to those two. Anyway, so hope everybody has a great evening, and I will see you all hopefully tomorrow.